It's great to see and be here this morning to see such a strong media interest in our food and drink sector, which is our largest indigenous manufacturing industry, contributing over 26 billion to our economy and exporting to over 180 countries. And indeed, listening to Paul there and his address about the challenges that we face and that the industry face in the important logistics of moving and what efficiencies can be achieved. It's actually highlights the value and the importance of, I think, efficiency right across the board, which is going to become more and more important. In that vein, since 2016, we have faced into very uncertain times the threat of Brexit, increased protectionism, proposed changes in trade and taxation policies in the US, and the uncertainty in the EU economy, coupled with the very real challenges related to exchange rate and volatility. The significance of the food and drink sector in the Irish economy cannot be underestimated. It is our largest indigenous industry. Manufacturing base has shown great resilience and agility, and in last year marked the 8th successive year of value growth to total Irish agri-food exports to reach a record 13.5 billion. And 8 years ago, there was very few parts of the Irish economy which were actually growing. In fact, most of the economy was shrinking drastically, with serious, and as we know, hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs. So the growth in exports could only have been achieved with a coherent national shared vision and strategy for the sector to address these challenges which all of us, from producers to processors, exporters, policymakers and agencies, have signed up to. These positive results, despite the challenging environment, show us that we are moving to reaching the projections set out in our 10-year strategic plan, Foodwise 2025, which is to grow the value of the agri-food exports by 85% to 19 billion, to increase by 23,000 direct and indirect jobs along the supply chain. So I'm conscious that without all of the Irish food and drink companies here present, this would not be possible. It is important to articulate that your promotion, marketing and sales efforts in the marketplace and the research and development and innovation undertaken by companies and production lines over the last years contributed to the achievement of such solid results. The figures show that exports to the UK, in spite of everything, rose by an estimated 7% to some 4.4 billion, despite the weaknesses in sterling. Exports to other EU countries have risen to over 4 billion, accelerating last year's growth rate. The value of our exports to international markets has hit a high of 4 billion for the first time, showing success of our focus on these international markets. So effectively, we have a third in that figure, the 13.5 billion. So it has become a little bit better spread out, but still, there's no doubt about it, the UK remains our biggest market. At government level, we have put in place very practical supports. The additional resources to Board BIA have enabled it to develop a comprehensive route-to-market network by providing consumer-led insight and market-focused research, together with informed presence on the ground. In addition to their report on marketing prioritisation, which was commissioned by our department, is critical to in terms of our work on market access prioritisation. The department continues to deepen its relationship with the authorities in other countries to facilitate the opening of markets for the sector. The industry's drive to broaden export reach to destinations outside the EU is beginning to pay dividends, with strong growth now seen in emerging and international markets. The detailed market access work carried out by the department and facilitated through trade missions has significantly increased the number of markets open to Irish food exports. However, we can only open markets. It is the industry itself which seeks out, secures the opportunities, makes the contracts, and then services them. This is an industry that works together, and we can see the results. With regard to trade missions, myself and my colleague Minister Creed are proud to have supported the Irish food industry and in drinking industry, food and drink industry, and their endeavours in international markets thus far in 2018. The department has continued to support Irish food and drink exporters through the year through a programme of ministerial-led trade missions supported by technical and official trade meetings. This year there have been visits to China, to Canada and the USA in late February with the support of Board B and the agri-food and drink companies. I visited Vietnam for St. Patrick's Day, and Minister Creed went on trade missions to Hong Kong and China in May, where following long years of hard work, we were successful in accessing the Chinese market with our beef exports. China represents, across a number of sectors, a vital new market opportunity in light of Brexit in particular. And through the market prioritisation exercise, we have identified and targeted other suitable new international markets for Irish food and drink in a sector-specific fashion, where we hope to lead missions to next year, including Indonesia and Malaysia, among other Asian nations. And while these markets will be, in some cases, slow burners, it is an important part of widening our reach and sourcing new markets in a post-Brexit scenario. Irish agri-food has an excellent name on international markets, and it's important that this work continues as we strive to find new markets for a growing industry. The close working relations between my own department, the development agencies, producers and industry, as we see in action on these missions, are a key strength to the Irish food, drinks and horticulture sectors. For the future, the challenges that we face in reaching those goals, as I outlined in the Foodwise 2025, include CAP reform, European Parliament elections, the creation of a new commission which will happen next year, in addition to the unique challenges of Brexit and climate change. And with environmental sustainability being a key issue identified in Foodwise 2025, we would feel that we are well prepared for those challenges. The Board B Origin Green programme, to which 90% of all our agri-food companies have signed up to, has achieved much in communicating the environmental credentials of Irish agriculture to both policymakers and Irish and EU consumers since it was first launched in 2012. But looking forward, we need to explain to citizens and communicate and inform the facts on climate change and on the Irish agri-food industry's positive contribution to sustainability based on scientific research carried out by Teagasc and other bodies. But equally, we need to ensure coherence in all our climate change policies and ensure validation of our claims. We need to use all available tools including those in the new CAP reform, to ensure we can meet our climate change and environmental obligations. If we expect farmers to deliver public goods, then they must be remunerated for doing so. We must be clear and unequivocal about our shared commitment to sustainability, and we must ensure that the value for our consumers and customers. So I want to assure everybody that the department and the government indeed is focusing on delivering on this commitment and will continue to facilitate and support the sector in achieving sustainable growth and enhancing Ireland's credentials as a producer of high quality and sustainable food products. Brexit, and I know Brexit is on everybody's mind. Our trading relationship with the UK, as I've said, in the agri-food sector can be summarised in one simple statistic. The UK is our biggest the UK is the largest external supplier of food and drink to Ireland. But more importantly, from our point of view, we are the largest supplier of food and drink to the UK. And with a population close to 70 million, that is an important market for us, particularly given our long tradition in that market. Brexit, however, remains a major challenge and will be for years ahead as we move our way forward. So it's for this reason that the government and the department has stated from the very outset that there are key asks from the negotiations that we see as essential. And they are continued free access to the UK market without tariffs and with minimal additional customs and administrative procedures, a minimisation of the risk from UK trade agreements with third countries, and on the fisheries side, the maintenance of our current access to fishing grounds in the UK zone, in the Irish Sea, Celtic Sea and north of Donegal, and the protection of Ireland's quota for joint fish stocks. We all recognise the huge task involved in this, but we also see enormous opportunity present in UK markets. We intend to continue to demonstrate our commitment to the UK market and pursue those opportunities relentlessly. We have no intention of stepping back from the UK market. On the contrary, we will redouble our efforts to build our consumer reputation and strong relationships to maximise growth and supply high-quality, innovative products to our neighbouring island. The integration of the supply chains between Ireland and the UK will be a key strength as we plot our way through the implications of Brexit. And in our responses, the government has put in place very specific measures to assist companies facing the challenges from Brexit. And these include the establishment of innovation centres to the capital investment scheme and low-cost finance. In line with the Taoiseach's global footprint initiative to double the Team Ireland footprint on the international stage by 2025 to address the challenges, my department has made additional funds available to Board Bia to employ additional staff, many of whom will be based abroad to assist companies. And another initiative is the establishment of a PCF, Prepared Consumer Food Centre. This sector is particularly exposed to Brexit but has significant potential for growth. The PCF sector plays a pivotal role in stability and growth of the Irish agri-food sector and accounted for 2.8 billion in agri-food exports in 2017, 3.5 billion in imports. And between the years 2012 and 2017, prepared consumer foods increased by almost 40%, from 2 billion to 2.8 billion. The UK in 2017 accounted for 60% of the food and drinks exports, PCF food and drink exports. The sector comprises 500 manufacturing units spread across the state and directly employs more than 20,000 people. So there is potential to create a significant number of direct jobs across the country, as well as indirect jobs, given the PCF companies are more labour intensive than other parts of the food sector. And it was recognised by the government that in order to respond successfully to challenges, it was necessary to put in a strategy for that is more proactive, with the companies taking a lead in developing medium and long-term strategy. Minister Creed secured an agreement in budget 2018 to invest 5 million in equipment, technologies and innovation to assist in the development of the PCF sector to ensure its growth. This funding was for the purpose of prepared consumer food research equipment, which is intended to use in a research collaboration with the companies who can pilot new products and use the centre as a development hub with the assistance of Teagasc personnel, with a view to scaling up their own production processes. So I'm pleased to say that the purchase of the equipment is advancing rapidly, and the official opening of the PCF centre is due to take place on the 18th of October. The capital loan scheme, the department working with Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation has responded to Brexit with the establishment of a number of funds designed to help businesses which will be affected either now or in the future. And I'd like to encourage companies to avail of these supports provided by our agencies. One such support is the capital loan scheme, which is open to all companies affected by Brexit. The scheme provides affordable, flexible finance to Irish businesses which are either currently impacted by Brexit or who will be in the future. The European Investment Initiative is another way in which our government is providing support, and so I would urge SME food companies who need to improve productivity and competitiveness through the acquisition of new capital equipment to talk to the Enterprise Ireland about availing of this specific support. And finally, small, micro and artisan companies can avail of the 15 million Leader Fund, which provides financial supports, including the renovation and extension of production facilities and the purchasing of processing equipment, as well as the supporting participants in artisan food and beverage sector in areas such as market development, competitiveness and innovation. The initial tranche of 5 million is being allocated this year. The remaining 10 million of this funding will be rolled out based on the experience in delivering the initial tranche. So I suppose in conclusion, we all understand the unique exposure the Irish agri-food sector has to Brexit and the impact of Brexit. Uncertainty and volatility about the final are core to that exposure, and certainly we still don't know how the final outcome will be. What planning for the future is very difficult as a result. But one thing we can be sure of is that food businesses and farmers need to focus on competitiveness, innovation and efficiency in order to survive these challenges and grow their businesses sustainably. Supporting lower cost, flexible finance is a key government response to assist the sector in this process. So what I've tried to do is give an overview of the government's position. I think everybody here is an innovator, is resilient. You're not in this business if you're soft, and I think it's to the credit of everybody organising it that you pulled together such a comprehensive panel for discussion, and that in the midst of what is a very busy and noisy trade hall, I'd like to commend everybody for that, and just hope that my presence here and what I've outlined in my address reassures all present that the government is fully behind this industry. As I said at the outset, 8 years ago when we began our year-on-year growth, everywhere else was crashing all around us. So this is the industry that actually helped stabilise and sustain and rebuild the Irish economy. We're not going to walk away from it now. Thank you very much.